Macho Man Randy Savage with Miss Elizabeth. Beautiful Miss Elizabeth taking on the Giant. Savage has had a really good couple of years. He's brill. He does wonderful selling in this match to Savage. Yeah. He really, and he feels like a huge star in this role. The Giant comes out, he gets no music, and just like Andre the Giant, there's a sense in wrestling that giants do not like or understand music. like they live in woods, and so they don't have sort of access to popular culture or anything like that, and so they just tramp down from the hills, and then they come out of the curtains and go, time to fight, and then they have their match, and then they go back to the woods, and everyone looks around and goes, did you pay them? And they go, no, they didn't ask for anything, they just do it. It's an urge. They're driven, these giants. It starts with Savage coming in and just trying to slam the Giant, failing and getting squashed underneath him. And I thought it was a good character note that Savage is sort of crazy and thinks a lot of himself, and he just sells the squishing really well. He doesn't have anything about like, that guy was heavy. He's just straight underneath him, squashed, and he's rolling around going, I think I'm broken. Absolutely wonderful selling. Along with DDP and Lex Luger, the Giant has a career best year in 1997 as well. Yeah. He's very light on his feet. He's in all the big programs. He looks completely at home in the ring, and he's only been performing for 18 months. I think when I sort of like look at Logan Paul and his astonishing aptitude for wrestling, I think the Big Show must sort of go, people used to say that about me, but we haven't said it for a long time, have we? We forget because he's a great big lump now. But he's astonishing here. I found this match really fun, Pete. I really was not expecting to enjoy it. Savage does get pinned clean as well with this after a chokeslam, and it's really well done. It's just the story is, what if you had a nightmare with an opponent who was much too big? And it's that they deliver on that. It's really good. And then we get the main event, Pete. The main event of Road Wild 1997. The WCW champion Lex Luger taking on Hollywood Hogan, with Michael Buffer being as big a cunt as he's ever been before.
I mean, good God. He had so many choices, Buffer, to turn up appropriately dressed for this one. And he does. 90% of his body is covered in appropriate clothes. Yeah. But the top one is basically a Kangol beret. It's basically the hat that Date Mike, Michael Scott from The Office, comes out when he realises on a date, a backwards Samuel L. Jackson Kangol hat.
That's what he's wearing.
And Michael Buffer has decided a black leather version of that is appropriate, along with a dinner jacket.
He's wearing a white tux as well. The white tux and the black, like some kind of fucking piano keys. It's such a bad look. It's so glad to see him looking so bad. I'm really happy. Let's get ready to never have sex with a woman again. And then you get Luger, and he comes out. He is the champion. They get fireworks in the night sky to welcome him in, and he looks absolutely great. The crowd are delighted to see him, and WCW have made a terrible error by making his dreams come true, and now they have to unpick it as quickly as they can, no matter how bad a decision that'll be. So he'd won this belt from Hogan 5 days before, and I went and had a look at the Nitro that he won it on, which was at the time the biggest rating for a world championship title change. So more people had seen it than sort of ever seen any other title change up to that point. And the crowd are molten hot for Lex Luger. And when Hogan gets up in the rack and taps out, they go bananas. They are throwing stuff in the ring, not because they're, trying to get the NWO, but because they're so excited. They just can't stop doing something physical. And there's rubbish coming into the ring, and it seems to be like they just want to be in the ring. And so they're going, by proxy, my popcorn can go in the ring. Luger reacts like it's the biggest win of his career, and it's absolutely brill. Yeah. And 5 days on, they're going to go, we didn't mean to do that. We got overexcited. But what you have to understand is you people will want to see Sting. A nightmare. It's nice and dark by this stage as well. And, the sky is all black, and they're both wearing dark clothes as well. And it did feel like sort of there was a lack of glamour that made it feel quite exciting and unusual, I felt. And the match itself is fairly standard. Hogan has got decent cardio at this time, but he's got a little bit smaller and his muscles are starting to slip, and he's relying a lot on overacting. Hogan really likes to sell at this period, but he doesn't want to be slammed. He wants you to put him in an arm bar, and he can go, oh, and he can move around the ring, and he can go, oh my God. He doesn't want to take bumps, but he's happy to sell. And it does make him look like he's generous as well, which I think he was always, I've sold the whole match. And then he will beat you, as has been decided all along. But he's very happy to sell so long as he doesn't have to go on the floor.
He's kind of, because like he's certainly doing a lot of selling, but he's also talking a lot.
Yeah,
he's just yapping, he's shouting Lex Luger. He's come up with a new name for Lex Luger.
Oh, the best bit on that when we hear Lex Luger and Tony Schiavone just goes, "He's Lex Champion." Just more witless.
Starting to rev him up now.
You better watch
Here are the
out.
motors.
Get up, you piece of meat.
And that enduring
Get
chant.
up, Lex Luger.
Call him Lex Luger right there.
Oh,
He is Lex Champion.
Luger.
Address him properly, if you please.
I listened to Tony Schiavone's Conrad show about where they were going through this pay-per-view. Schiavone, the only story I got of him about Road Wild 97 was him. He didn't like people criticising him saying it was Sting when it wasn't.
Yeah.
Because he was just doing his job. And also, he just like, it costs a lot of money when you do pyro. Because you can have as much music as you want and as many VTs as you want, but it's the pyro that costs you money. He looks really sad about it.
I mean, I would say it's also part of the live show experience, isn't it? So let's not cry about it. It's like crying about transport.
I had to provide running water for everyone.
Yeah. There was we had to actually bus people in so they could perform at the all jobs, all businesses, they have overheads. That's, I don't want to tell you about this, Tony. Look, this is a really long match. It's nothing special, but they are both big stars at a big time in their careers. And when I was watching this, it was one of those things that I'm not always in the mood for, and I was exactly in the mood for this. It was undemanding wrestle fun. In comes the NWO, eventually, as always they did. Lex fights them all off, and then he goes straight back to Hogan. But Pete, as you said, can it be? Can it be Sting? Luger is then hit in the back with a baseball bat. Hogan gets the leg drop, and Lex is pinned. The crowd, absolutely. I mean, there's zero reaction. They are, even the fans are like, "What's going on? What's this? Why are you doing this? It's dumb." The crowd do begin throwing stuff into that ring, and Scott Norton, you notice him. He points at someone. And he looks at a cup that's in the ring. And then another one comes in, and he clearly locks eyes with the man. He begins shouting at him, and suddenly he's out of the ring. And the NWO stop doing all their dancing in the ring, and they're just being filmed. You can't see where Scott Norton is. You can't see who he's gone to. But all of them stop, and they just start looking over to where he's gone. I think someone got quite a thumping. Quite a thumping for the crime of throwing a cup at a wrestler at a motorbike rally. This obviously is not Sting. This is what was known as NWO Sting, a wrestler called Jeff Farmer. And he was brought in because he had a similar body and not dissimilar physiognomy in his face to Sting. The problem is, at no point did anyone think this was Sting.
So what? Why have they replaced Sting with non-Sting?
I think the idea was the NWO were trying to fool everybody into thinking that Sting had joined the NWO. The NWO only had one purpose, and that was to make people think that they had been joined by them. They loved people joining, and if you didn't join, they just wanted people to think you had. That was all. Everything that group did was just going, join our gang, be in our gang. Do you want to do it? No, it doesn't matter. We don't have any other rules. We just want more people.
More people.
Everyone in it. And so the NWO Sting was effectively, Pete, what this is mind games. The worst thing in wrestling. Yeah. The NWO Sting, I mean, they couldn't really find a way of using him either. So he didn't have very many matches, and he didn't really have very many angles. He would just hang around. It's so poorly thought through. It really is.
I would argue that he looks too much like Sting, because he's wearing a Sting mask, isn't he? So he looks too much like Sting.
Yeah.
It may as well be Sting.
Exactly. It's just confusing as well, because if you don't watch it every single week, You watch it and go, oh, that's that Sting. You know, it doesn't, when you don't have Sting there, you don't want to have a bloke who looks just like him, who's doing something different. It doesn't make any sense.
So does Sting get paid for this appearance? That's what I want to know. Does he get is this technically him?
No, they'd go, no, it's NWO Sting. You know, it's still using my name, innit? From 1996 to 8, WCW really never quite got on top of fans throwing things into the ring. WWF happened, twice, maybe? Once, I can't even think. You know, ECW happened and it was spectacular on a few occasions, but it would be very much choreographed with the chairs. WCW, constantly people throwing banana skins in and boxes of grapes. They could not stop it. The Steiners and Kurt Hennig, they come out to check on Luger. So Hennig's a babyface now, is he? Again, you know, it's swerving. Is he in the NWO? Is he a babyface?
Part of it, is he not? Yeah.
Okay, do you know what, guys? Rather than work it out, I'm just going to leave it. I don't want to see it.
My brain is going to shut down with bored.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good. I'm quite happy to watch him wrestle, but I don't care what he's thinking after the match. It doesn't. That's not it for me. The commentary team then set up. They keep going, there's a fight backstage. There's a fight backstage. And they can't cut to it. And it seems like they've been given the wrong note because there is no fight backstage that we see.
I'm sorry, I was told something here. What was that?
They're yelling about something in the back area.
Is that Craig Leathers? Craig, if that's you, would you say that again? Is there a fight in the backstage area? What's going on here?
Well, like it or not, Hogan is the champion of the world again.
And what happens is they cut back to the backstage eventually. It's Hulk Hogan out there and Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
And, they had Rodman there and they didn't bring him out. And I think...
But apparently he was just kicking it. He just happened to be at the motorbike bike.
Yeah.
So it was just a bit of a freebie. When do you ever get a freebie from such a big star? My God.
I think in a funny way, they did get freebies because every time they'd used him, they'd paid him so much money
yes.
that he would, even Dennis Rodman would sort of go, oh, no, I'll do that one for free.
It's embarrassing.
Or you turn up and you go, that's great. And then you just get your agent to ring him in the morning, wouldn't you? And you'd go, I hear you put Dennis on there without a fucking contract. That'd be amazing. And Dennis Rodman sprays the big WCW belt that Hogan has got back with the NWO letters.
Just clean that off.
I know. 5 days ago. 5 fucking days. Luger wins the belt, cleans it off, loses it. What a fucking run. Conan is holding the belt as well, and he looks genuinely happy to be holding that belt. He sort of moves it a couple of times, and I thought, is he trying to get this so that he can get home and he can take a photo on the pay-per-view, and then he'll have a photograph of himself, like with the WCW title, like he's won it. I can see him doing that because he might then go back to Mexico and sort of go, look, I won that big belt, didn't I? You know, that really important one? There I am wearing it. You can't dispute that. And that would enable him to raise his fee. But he looks genuinely pleased to be in the middle of that. He's really like, this is one of the great days. Dennis Rodman's here. Hulk Hogan knows who I am and he's talking to me. And I'm holding the belt, the big WCW belt. And he must have been looking at that and just thinking, this is as good as it gets. And do you know what? It would be. It really would be. Horrible.
So, speaking of which, it was around about this time, William Regal was arrested for pissing on a plane.
90? Oh, what a vintage year it was.
Oh, yeah, what a year it was.
I mean, at this point in wrestling as well, imagine like fumbling your contract at this period. Everyone was getting paid through the nose.
Money.
Nobody's work. It's not a work rate era, is it? It was so fucking easy. I mean, imagine being on the outs of this and just going, oh, well, that's basically, you know, the difference between being a millionaire and having nothing. And what a time to have fallen out.
Dragon, you are holding something that means very much to me, the world's television title. Now, I may not do moonsaults and I may not do Hanakan runners, but what I can do is out-wrestle anybody in the world. You can take your Ric Flairs, you can take your Hulk Hogans, you can take the likes of you, Sunshine, and I can out-wrestle you and I can out-beat you because I'm going away from the nobility for a while, and I'm going back to my dirty, rotten scoundrel self that did his best at Blackpool pleasure beads at the age of 15, beating men twice his age. And that's what I do best. Watch yourself.